It's almost time, guys, with 1 month left until Bannerlord's release date, and many new and old players playing the current beta. I thought that now would be a great time to show you some tips and commands that you can use in commander mode to better command your troops in battle and give you maybe that fighting edge that you need. Now, whilst some of these hints and tips might be a little obvious for some of the warband veterans, we are going to be looking at some things that have been added specifically to Bannerlord that you may not be aware of, something that I only became aware of yesterday, in fact. The first tip that I could give would be to try and get some friends together to play with. Even just having one friend in your party that you're in Discord with can mean essentially double the troops at your command, so long as you and your teammate communicate effectively. Now, the biggest thing on this list, I think, is this one. Keeping hold of the F1 key and keeping hold of the left mouse button to drag battle lines. It allows you to create formations that are not preset and take better and more precise control of your units. This is a command that I only learnt about yesterday, and after learning it, it has changed my game dramatically and allowing me to get my men into formation much more easily than using the preset commands. One thing to note, however, is that you cannot always get your troops to aim where you want them to aim, regardless of if you use the face direction command. They will sometimes just aim in a direction that they are taking fire from. You can't always deal with that. You just have to mitigate it as much as possible. Now on screen we're getting attacked from two sides, and I'm going to take this opportunity to push on one set of archers that is attacking me. One thing you don't want to let yourself do is get pinned down by archer fire if you can prevent it. Obviously we do have big shields, but eventually these archers, especially these elite archers, will start to hit your troops, especially being attacked from two sides at once. So my well-trained troops with the shields make light work of their unshielded, albeit well-trained Khan's Guard, but they are no match for my Oathbound, who make short work of them. And that's something that I see a lot of players struggle with, is being able to deal with being surrounded, especially by highly mobile units and factions such as the Khazate. Dealing with this involves a lot of micromanaging, a lot of use of the F1 key, which will position your troops where you designate on the map, keeping hold of the F1 key and then letting go, which I use quite extensively. As you can see, I'm placing my guys behind the wall, just getting them out of the way of the horse archers. Again, these horse archers trying their best to just get flanking shots on my guys, but using the hold F1 command and the left click, I'm positioning my guys facing them, just to make sure that they don't get any flanking shots on me. And as you'll see here in a little bit, this just micromanagement and just their lack to be able to penetrate our guys' armors and defenses is going to make the enemy very frustrated, and they're just going to go into a full-on charge against my guys. However, even with our formation spread out like it is, we didn't block up the entirety of the gaps, so a lot of them did manage to filter through the gaps in our defences. However, now the enemy are just in charge mode, so they're going to keep on coming round for an attack after an attack on our fully armoured spear guys, which will cause us to win the round. We're on to the next round now, and pushing on the A objective. A lot of people have trouble knowing when to go for objectives and hold them, but obviously this is an objective based game mode, so your main priority should be capturing the objectives, do not forget that. Setting up a defensive perimeter again against their horse archers, making sure my guys are facing them. But it's at this point that I realise that we're getting flanked, so I'm going to peel off some of my guys to defend against this encirclement that they seem to have done. Again, keeping hold of F1 and keeping hold of left click and dragging out a defensive line. At this point I realise that we're starting to get encircled. We have infantry archers to our front, spear infantry with javelins to our right, and to our rear the horse archers have circled around, so we are now in a death pincer move. Staying here would mean we turn into just a pincushion and we lose a lot of men. So I decided to take the initiative, tell my ally to charge forward on these spear infantry. Our infantry is way better, and if we concentrate all of our forces, we'll make short work of these spear infantry before any of the other two units can come in to defend. So in a brief summary, just trying to know when the best time to attack is and the best time to defend. And when you do attack, try to ensure that the majority of your forces are attacking the minority of their forces, rather than just playing passively and letting the enemy come to you. So our guys now just making short work of the final bit of spear infantry. Now we can turn around and concentrate on these Khan's Guard. At a distance, they pose a serious threat, but now that we have dealt with all of their infantry, they can no longer attack us from the rear, and we can easily just mop them up and finish them off. So just that one decisive attack meant the difference between sitting there and getting peppered with arrows until all of our units are dead, and winning the battle, and ultimately the game. Now this next game, we've got the Khazate versus the Khazate. So what you're going to see here is a reverse of situations where we are actually the ones that encircle the enemy. And although I do lose all of my guys, I hold them off enough for my allies to get in position and just absolutely decimate them with better positioning and playing too passively. So as you can see in front of me, we've got an absolutely humongous army of just rabble, which is the bare basic infantry of the Khazate, being very hesitant to engage. As you can see in the far back, we have my ally horse archers that are shooting them from the rear, as their shields are predominantly facing us, and we have some Khan's Guard on the left, which are going to be firing on them as well from the front. I'm just holding back, waiting for my time to push forward. I'm trying to bait them out a bit here. I push forward a bit, looking like I'm going to attack, and then I've met them pull back. Just trying to trick them and bait them into like maybe coming forward and stepping out of position to give my archers more of a chance to attack them. I'm being very, very hesitant to push on this objective. I know it's the final objective, but we do have 3.5 stars left, which equates to quite a bit of time, especially when they've only got one flag. A bit of skirmishing going on, just throwing some javelins in, just trying to instigate them into doing something brash, moving on us. Bear in mind that if they did attack me with that army, they would surely beat my guys, just by sheer numbers. We do not have that much infantry. I think I'm the last bit of infantry left. So again, trying to bait them out, charging forward a bit. I do lure some in, but they pull back. So as you can see on the left, the Khan's Guard are charging in now, running out of ammo probably. So supporting their attack where possible, and just charging my guys in, not leaving them to their inevitable demise if I wasn't to attack. And now we've got the cavalry coming in, and we're just making light work of this rabble, very, very lightly armoured. I'm using blunt weapons, that's what the guys spawn with, so it's not the best against rabble. Would be better to have like cutting weapons and things, but making short work of them nonetheless. Their sheer numbers of them, however, just getting the better of me eventually, as they do surround me a bit and manage to take me out. I think this is an enemy player actually who manages to get the better of me. As you can see there, there's still some rabble left in the back, but our guys are making short work of them, some of the horse archers, and again, eventually we do win. Now, these final two clips are going to concentrate more on archers and controlling them. Now, just pay attention to that little scoreboard that just popped up. As you can see, I'm not doing too well, and that's partially due to the tactics that we're using. I've been following the mob, which is all of my guys just running to sea and trying to take on the Battanians in hand-to-hand combat, which, as you know, the Khazates are not the greatest at. They are like a Mongol horde style faction. They work best in hit and run tactics and horse archers on the open steppe. So doing this tactic is not the best, just charging head on against Battania especially. So I decided against this and decided to be the big brain of the group and go around for a bit of a flanking maneuver. So what you're going to see here is essentially a perfect execution. Bear in mind we did lose, but the scoreboard will speak for itself at the end of it. Just how well positioning your guys effectively can make it the whole world of difference. Even if you're not the best at actual combat in Warband and Bannerlord, and you feel like you could improve, just positioning your guys and knowing how to position your guys effectively is an absolute godsend, and will mean the difference between winning and losing in the most cases. This case, not so much, but you can see that we are just turning the enemy into pincushions. The kill feed just littered with Karnsguard, killing them. Especially here, they're sending savages at us. It looks like we should run, but I'm confident in my guys' ability to hold and just shoot them. They're oathbound, deciding against coming forward. I think they're oathbound, or they're skirmishers, I'm not too sure. But they decide, you know what, we have to go forward because we're just getting lit up like a Christmas tree here. Again, now their units have made short work of our infantry in one-on-one combat, and they are going to ultimately win the engagement. But just the sheer amount of casualties that we inflicted speaks for itself. Here I'm just showing my severe lack of skills in the Bannerlord's combat system. But there you go. As you can see, we rose from third to last to the top of the scoreboards in one round, becoming the MVP. Which brings us nicely onto the final game. Here we have the Azurai, who are losing pretty badly. I think we have 1 win against 2 losses, and we're against my personal favourite faction, Vlandia. As you can see, we are holding one objective on the high ground, as we have superior archer numbers. We're just trying anything that we can to win this game. We're just getting hammered, it seems. And this is where my big brain engages once again. I decide to go for a flanking manoeuvre. The Vlandias are coming from the left-hand side, from the left-hand hill, and I decide that rather than face them on the hill in a one-on-one engagement, which we will surely lose against their well-armoured, well-shielded sergeants, our archer spam will not do much against that, I decide to use a flanking manoeuvre. So here we're going to rush down and go for some sort of pincer manoeuvre, just flanking manoeuvre in general. I'm going to position my guys on this little hill and get some shots in on the rear of them, doing some nice damage on the rear of them, accidentally shooting my guy in the back of the head. This though, it does not go unnoticed, and we start getting some unwanted attention. I tell my guys to make a full big retreat. Here I make a bit of a small commanding mistake. Rather than making my guys pull back and keep pulling back, I decide to just stay there and hold my ground, firing at them because they don't have shields. Their commander is definitely better at melee combat, but I managed to get a quick little shot in, dispatching him, but we are overrun. Now, although we are overrun, this is another point that I'd like to make. Do not think that you are out. Quickly press F to take control of another unit, and here I just get out of there. I know that we're going to lose, so I get out of there and I start taking pot shots at them. I start getting absolutely devastating hits, just one kill after another kill, and their full unit is dispatched just by my quick thinking and escaping the combat. He's thinking, what's going on? My units are just going down. What's happening? He's trying to control, he don't know what's happening. Finally, he realises what's happening, he charges towards me, but by that time, his entire unit is pretty much all gone. It's down to 3 units. I take down one, I take down another, and at that point, he has regained control of his last final unit, and he does kill me. But I took out a full unit of men just with some quick thinking, and we win the round. Here we have the final round, and as you can see, the Vlandias are not happy that we won that round, and they are just all out charging us. They're just trying to rush us because we do have archers. So I'm trying to use my archers a bit more wisely. I'm letting my infantry engage, and I'm just pulling my archers back as we're firing, just pulling them back, just lighting them up with my archers. Some of my archers to the right, as you can see, are just kind of stuck in an engagement. But because my guys are on a bit of an angle, we're just getting some amazing shots on them, helping and supporting our archers, just pulling back. And now we're down to the last few guys. They don't have any armor, or the ones that do are turned to the side, engage with my allies, and we just make short work of them, to be quite honest with you. They finished off our archer allies, but there's barely any left. The ones that are unarmored are just being picked off. And now, because I do have veteran archers, I send them to attack, and we do manage to finish off the remaining ones. So hopefully this video has shown you that you don't have to be amazing at Bannerlord or Warbands combat, and you can just be better at the micromanagement of your units to get the upper hand and win. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to let me know, and I may even make another video where we're going to depth more on the commands and how to use your F keys and what the F keys do. Just be sure to let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.